Chapter 5 Flight of Doom. Jason is being threatened by Martin, a pilot hired by Sanchez to recover documents and get rid of Jason.
Step through the door, partner. You're gonna dive like a condor to a corpse.
Alright, now, maybe we can talk to this guy. Maybe get him to not do this. Gee, we must be 15,000 feet up. 14,000 feet. Could you drop down a few thousand feet? Or, that's very funny. Now get back in the cockpit and fly this plane. I'll double what I gave you before. Well, you know what? Let's be a little sarcastic with this guy. Maybe we can get him off his game.
It's not so far. You might land in a lake. You'll have to outswim the piranhas.
Alright, this type of behavior will do nothing for our country's good neighbor policy. I give you some information that could be valuable to you and make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Well, let's give that a shot. Greasing the palms, like I said.
People will pay enough when you're dead. Now jump!
Alright. Now do we try to maybe bribe him a little more? Or maybe we can press him for a little information. Let's try pressing him for information. Maybe he can drop a hint as to what's going on.
Enough talk! Out!
Alright, well that's the end of this conversation. And if you thought the last chapter was short, this is even shorter. Because this is all-time stuff. A very unwholesome fellow. This will teach you to trust a man in a Hawaiian shirt and cheap sunglasses. So he's going to shoot us if we don't move out and do what he says. Now, we don't really have anything. We don't really have anything we can use to stop him. We got to do something to distract him. And what we're going to do is try to open up the latch, this chicken pen. Later, Martin. As the screams of Martin fade into the distance, Jason knows he is not out of the woods yet. The plane is losing altitude and heading for the jungle floor. Alright, you know what we're going to do? We're going to save. We're going to save right quick. And we're going to call this Flight. Because we're still timed, we gotta figure out a way to stop this plane from crashing. Now if you remember, we already checked this chute. We can't hook it up to ourselves to jump out the plane, so let's try getting into the cockpit. An aluminum safety door. The handle is jammed too tight to move. Apparently Martin's last shot went right through the mechanism. Well, in this case, we're going to need a way to force it open. And what we're going to do is use our parachute. We're going to tie it to the latch of the door. You wind the parachute around the door handle and toss the canopy out the open cargo door. And it just pulls the door right open. Now we're in the cockpit. We got to do a couple of things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull back on the yoke and the plane noses up. Then we're going to pull down on these throttles. You pull back on the throttles and the plane begins to slow. And you can see right here, there's the bullet hole where Martin's gun hit it. And then we're going to pull this here. This is the lever. You move the flap lever and the plane begins to slow. Let's take a look at this bullet hole. Hydraulic fluid drips from a bullet-ruptured line. And splash. Okay, well, we survived our crash, but the plane is starting to take on water, so we gotta figure out what we're gonna do. We gotta figure out quick before this thing goes down. Parachute floats in the algae-covered water. Aluminum cargo door jammed open. The cargo bound for Rio Blanco is strewn about the rear of the aircraft. Now let's try opening some of this cargo, see what we can find. toss back the box into the back of the plane. We find a gray plywood footlocker with the word raft in English. Well, before this plane fills up with water, let's open it up, the box spring open, and take the raft. Now, the raft here is going to need to be inflated, and luckily we have an air pump. So with our inflated raft, we're going to row out. The small raft handles remarkably well in the lake, which is still churning from the airplane's impact. Jason painfully inches his way to the shore, losing his money along the way. His neck feels like it has been stretched by the hangman, and he could use a good chiropractor. Through the mist, Jason sees a church cross rising above the jungle wall, far in the distance. With the promise of comfort from this green hell, Jason begins his walk. Fortunately for Jason, the plane crash occurs near his destination of Rio Blanco. If you look up the word dirty in the dictionary, there would be a picture of Rio Blanco. On the plaza there is a water well made of adobe bricks. A crumbling cantina stands beside an ancient flea-bag hotel that once housed traveling rubber barons. Even the Catholic mission has long been deserted. Well, we made it here, but
Get away from here.
that's the end of this chapter. When we get together next time, we'll do the chapter El Loco.